Imagine living in a country where your neighbors could report you to the secret police for criticizing the government, where children were encouraged to spy on their parents, and where racial laws determined who could live and who would die. This was daily life in Nazi Germany. After the war, the world built safeguards like the United Nations and the European Union to prevent such oppression. This video explores why these structures make a repeat unlikely today. In this video, you will find out how history shaped our modern defenses. In Vienna, a young man with artistic ambitions faced repeated rejection. He lived in poverty, moving between hostels and shelters. During these years, he encountered the powerful anti-Semitic rhetoric of local politicians who blamed Jewish citizens for the city's problems. This ideology offered him a simple explanation for his personal failures and economic struggles. His military service in the First World War provided structure and purpose. The German defeat and the subsequent Treaty of Versailles created a national humiliation that matched his personal sense of grievance. He embraced and promoted the stab-in-the-back myth, claiming internal enemies had betrayed Germany. This narrative perfectly aligned with his existing prejudices. His growing skill as a public speaker allowed him to channel widespread economic despair into political support. He offered straightforward solutions by identifying clear scapegoats for complex problems. The combination of his personal charisma and Germany's collective trauma during the Great Depression created a dangerous catalyst. Social fear and economic collapse made his extremist views acceptable to mainstream audiences. Personal pathology merged with national crisis to create history's most destructive dictator. His early failures became the foundation for a political movement built on blame and hatred. After the failed Beer Hall Putsch in 1923, the Nazi Party shifted to legal methods. They built a sophisticated propaganda machine that exploited Germany's economic catastrophe. The Great Depression left millions unemployed, creating fertile ground for radical solutions. In this environment, angry speeches found ready listeners. Democratic institutions in Weimar Germany proved dangerously fragile. The Enabling Act of 1933 provided the legal framework to dismantle democracy. It granted Hitler dictatorial powers while appearing to follow constitutional procedures. Political opponents were eliminated systematically. The erosion happened through laws and emergency measures, not just force. The resentment caused by the Treaty of Versailles, combined with economic collapse, created a perfect storm. International inaction allowed territorial expansion to proceed unchecked. Inside Germany, democratic norms collapsed under the weight of crisis and clever legal manipulation. The transformation from democracy to totalitarianism occurred both gradually and suddenly. Once in power, the regime used propaganda to control public perception and justify its actions. Racial laws targeted specific groups, removing legal protections step by step. What began as a fringe movement became state policy through a combination of fear, legal loopholes, and social desperation. The failure was both institutional and moral. Modern democracies have learned from these critical failure points. International courts and human rights monitoring now create early warning systems. The European Union itself emerged as a direct response to prevent such nationalistic extremes. These structural defenses never existed in the Weimar Republic. Today's institutional safeguards create obstacles that never existed in 1933. The European Union fosters economic cooperation that discourages nationalist aggression, while the International Criminal Court holds leaders accountable for war crimes and crimes against humanity. These frameworks establish a global conscience against totalitarianism. However, institutions alone cannot prevent history from repeating. Vigilant citizens who recognize early warning signs remain the strongest defense. Understanding historical patterns is essential to prevent repeating the mistakes of the past. Subscribe to this channel for more analyses of how history continues to inform our present protections.